Hi, I'm Stephen Hen. This is Marla. Today I want to talk about the new bows from Topoint Archery. They've got a whole bunch of new bows. And this got me thinking about my history with archery and the sport and dealing with manufacturers. So I'm going to go back. I've been selling archery gear for over 40 years. And back in time when American manufacturers used to make inexpensive archery equipment. That could be compound or recurve. And they used to make pretty coloured bows. So for people wanting to get into the sport, they have an option of a camo, a black bow, or some pretty coloured bows. And they used to make inexpensive bows. That changed. So it went to being, we're just doing black and camo. And then the prices went up. And then it was like, we'll just do expensive stuff. So you'll see a whole bunch of manufacturers now don't even do beginner stuff, inexpensive stuff. They just concentrate on top end because you make more money there. Recurves are no longer, when I say recurves are no longer made in the USA. Target level entry recurves are no longer made in the USA. They're all China and basically China. So this got me sort of thinking about my history with the sport. So back in the day when Martin Archery used to make stuff, and someone's going to say they still make stuff, but when they used to make stuff, right? And when I say they used to make stuff, like when they were big, right? And everyone shot Martin. I wanted an inexpensive bow for beginners in colours, right? And Martin was like, no, we can't do that, okay? So what they did is they sold me their bows in blank risers. So just the blank cast riser, and they sold me all the bits, the limbs, the cams, and sets of strings. So I had to build them. I had to go and get them painted, which is a problem. So I take them to spray shops. I'm like, how much to paint this bow? Those costs were prohibitive, like $800 to spray a riser. So then I tried to spray them in my garage with a spray thing. That was hard because of all the holes. It was very hard to spray. Then I went to powder coating and all that sort of stuff. So it was just nightmare after nightmare. I had to then assemble the bows, and I was like, why am I doing this? I'm actually paying more for the bows to come from Martin than they were assembled. So that was a failed experiment for me. And I brought a whole bunch of bows in the raw forms just so I could paint them so people could have coloured bows. So today, when I say today, Topoint have just done a release of their new Target. When I say Target, inexpensive compound bows. So I want to display them. I want to just discuss this a little bit. So here it is, Topoint with all their color selections. I'm like, that's exactly what I want. They have the bows in various sizes, draw length adjustable with rotating mods. They have all the colors, they have various sizes. These bows will suit everybody. So now when people are getting into the sport of archery, you've got a choice. You can go, look, here's an inexpensive colored compound bow, or there's a next inexpensive compound bow or another inexpensive compound bow. You've got choices. I didn't have choices before. And it appears to me, and this could just be me being delusional, that you suggest something to a manufacturer and they think about it and they go, this might sell, we'll produce that. So you might say, well, we really like two-tone risers in two colors. They're really big sellers if you do two-tone. And then, bang, look what we've got. Topoint produce two-tone risers, or another company produces two-tone risers. Where generally if you suggest stuff, and I'm not having to go at the American companies because all American companies are different, obviously. But when you suggest, and I'm going to pick Elite because hopefully Elite's not going to be angry on me. When you suggest to Elite, it'd be really cool if you had a red colored bow because red is my color and red is a really popular color in archery. It's like, no, we're not doing red. So for 10 years, I've wanted an Elite bow in red. Okay, because red is one of the themes I run on my bows. It's either red or black, and I run either red accessories or black accessories because it makes it easy for me to change colors. Well, Elite's like, no, we're not doing that. So you've got all these red accessories and it's like, well, that's going to look crap on a green bow. Anyway, I'm not having to go at Elite because I think Elite has got a great product. I'm just making the example that, like, this is a suggestion. And there's been plenty of suggestions I make to Elite who they've picked up on, and you see it in their line next time, right? So I'm not having to go at that. And the same used to apply to PSE, used to make suggestions, and it would be implemented. But it appears to me that the Chinese companies want to produce volumes. They want to build sales. They want their products to be worldwide distributed. So I used to get a common saying from American manufacturers, look, target bows don't sell. No one shoots target here. We're only interested in hunting bows. And I'm like, you've got Europe over there. It's really big. How about India? India's got a massive population. How about China? It's got a massive population. You should be selling to Europe. You should be selling to the UK. You should be selling to Canada. You should be selling to China. You should be selling to India. You should be selling to everywhere. America should be a small percentage of your sales if you're a manufacturer. But I get it all the time. Well, we just really want to just sell it inside America. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand. So anyway, so when I see this product come out, I'm like, price point is excellent. And look, it's not available yet, but it will be available soon. And I do understand that American archery shops are probably not going to stock it because they're stocking bows where they make good margins and they can spend 3 hours with a customer and go, yay, we still made really good margins. Where with the Chinese product, there's not the margins. But for me, the key is to get people into the sport. One of the keys is when people come into the sport about the price of the product. I had a conversation with another archery shop on YouTube, and he was like, well, most of ours is like repeat business, so people coming back and upgrading bows. Where in Australia, most of mine is new business. So in Australia, people are less likely to upgrade their bows. They're more likely to keep their bow. And if they are upgrading, they're upgrading from a cheap product to a more expensive product. And once they have the more expensive product, they generally keep that for a number of years. So at my archery club, very few people would have the latest products. Many of them will be shooting bows over 10 years old. Okay. So for me, I like the beginners level equipment for people to get in and try the sport. I like inexpensive stuff. And then if they get into the sport and they're shooting all the time, well, look, we've got high-end stuff up here, right? So to me, it's interesting. The change is interesting that it's gone from, well, America used to do all the archery gear at one stage to then Korea doing some, and then kind of China then came in, and now Korea's moved their production to China, and then America's moved lots of its production to China, and just how the evolution has changed. It's changed from, I'm going to say, family businesses in America, where they start off and like in their backyard building stuff and selling stuff, to big companies buying these family businesses, and then just basically sitting on the design. So you see, once the big companies take over, you see very little product development, in my view. And then I see the Chinese companies as like, here's new products, and the pricing is so amazing, I don't even understand it. And when I say I don't understand, I don't understand. I don't understand how they can produce a product so cheap. Like, for the cost of a set of strings, this bow is cheaper. And you're going to say, well, they've got cheap strings. And I'm like, well, yeah, maybe, but it's still the same material. And it's like, and I understand the cost of labor is less in China than America, and it's cheaper in America than Australia. Like, I couldn't even make that set of strings for the cost of that bow. It's something I can't do. Because it takes me 3 hours to make a set of strings. The material's more expensive than the actual cost of the bow. So, and strings are not as good as, like a gas string or one of those strings, but it's still pretty amazing. So anyway, these are the pictures of some of the new products from Topoint. I find it amazing. They've got a whole bunch of new sights on the market, new recurves on the market. They're now entering the top end stuff, so they've got top end products competing at a world level, as far as like people shooting huge scores. The area where Topoint and the Chinese haven't really hit yet is the hunting market, and I find that completely fascinating, because the American manufacturers have gone, well, actually what we're interested in is the hunting market, because that's 90% of our business. And the Chinese have gone, well, we want to sell stuff all around the world, and this is the bit of the market we need, as far as this is the bit that America has not catered for, so this is what we're going to hit. But I see in the future, you'll see the Chinese getting into the top-end hunting stuff, the top-end 3D stuff. I think it's probably 2 years away. That's my view, and it'll be half the price. But anyway, that's my 2 bits on the new products from Topoint. It's pretty amazing. Now, even though you've seen pictures, they'll probably be about 6 months away, right? Because they have to make them, they put them in a container, it sits in a container, 3 months later it arrives here, so we'll probably see them around Christmas, right? So anyway, this is some of the new bows. Thanks for watching. Bye.